is mailbag time, ladies and gentlemen. The winter meetings kick off coming up in the next few days. So beforehand, I thought I would answer some questions from viewers of the Red Sox Rundown. Before we get into any of this, if you want to be in a future mailbag, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Do not miss out. I post mailbag calls on our community tab, as well as sometimes ask for mailbag questions on videos. And you're not going to want to miss any of those opportunities. If you want to get one of your questions answered on a future mailbag, you don't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button, join the channel today. And on top of that, you also get the latest news, rumors, anytime a trade happens, anytime a free agency signing happens, we cover it here on the channel. You're not going to want to miss it. Give us 1 week. I guarantee you're going to like what you see. So hit that sub button. Don't miss out right now. Isabella Marley, 39, is the first person to get a question in. Loyal follower of me on Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter at JackLotteray for even more Red Sox coverage. If you could make only one trade this season, who would it be for, and what would you give up realistically? This is a really, really good question. I have one answer and one answer only, and it works because the rumors around this player have started to flare up once again. I would trade for Freddy Peralta tomorrow. I would do it. And I know a lot of people are going to come at me and say, Jack, you're being hypocritical because you said you wouldn't trade for Tarik Skubal because he's a rental, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I did say that. However, they are two different situations. Freddy Peralta is not represented by Scott Boras. Tarik Skubal is. Freddy Peralta is not going to get a contract upwards of $400 million like Tarik Skubal is. And I feel like it's much more likely that Freddy Peralta would be willing to sign a contract extension in season than elect for free agency, especially with a lockout looming next offseason. For those reasons, I would be much more inclined to give up some capital for Peralta. Also, I don't think he's going to cost as much in a trade as Tarik Skubal would, because Tarik Skubal is a back-to-back Cy Young winner. Nonetheless, though, Freddy Peralta's a damn good ball player. He's a damn good ball player. 2.70 ERA last year, 204 Ks, 66 walks, a FIP at 3.64. He was a baller. He could be the ace on most teams. He would be your number two, and a clear number two to support Garrett Crochet. He would be a guy that you would definitely want to start 2 games in the playoffs as well. Could you imagine this rotation? Could you imagine this potential rotation? Garrett Crochet, Freddy Peralta are your 1-2. I'm much more fine having Sonny Gray as your number 3. Connolly Early is your 4 in an internal fight for your number 5. You just brought in Johan Oviedo, who apparently, according to reports, they're going to stretch out as a starter. You've also got Patrick Sandoval, Cutter Crawford, Hunter Dobbins. You did get rid of Richard Fitz, but those are just some names that could be fighting for that 4 and 5 spot. But this 1 through 3, that's a World Series level rotation. I would do that in an absolute heartbeat. Now, the second part of that question is, what would you give away realistically? So Jim Bowden actually put out an article of Freddy Peralta trade ideas, and one of those trade ideas was with the Red Sox. Here's what Jim Bowden had. Peyton Tolley, left-handed pitcher, and Anthony Ayesen, right-handed pitcher. Anthony Ayesen was one of the Red Sox. I believe he was their second-round pick or third-round pick in the 2025 MLB draft, someone that has the potential to rise up the minor league ranks this next season. And then, of course, you've got Peyton Tolley, who I'm incredibly bullish on, but not as bullish on as Connolly Early. If you had to give away one of your top pitching prospects, I would much rather give up Peyton Tolley than Connolly Early. Adding on to that, as much as I wholeheartedly love Peyton Tolley, I would instantly do this trade. I think this could be a realistic trade. The Brewers would want pitching in return. Peyton Tolley could give you that. And then you get another incredibly intriguing prospect in Anthony Ayesen. Maybe they want some sort of bat. I don't see that being the case. I think they would really want pitching to replace what they lose in Freddy Peralta. Now, look, Peyton Tolley's not going to replace Freddy Peralta, but he's a very intriguing arm that could make an impact in the majors as early as this next year. So if that were the trade, and that's what Jim Bowden is selecting, now I get it. Take Jim Bowden with a grain of salt. You know, it is what it is. But if that were the potential trade, I would do that instantly. And I don't think that that's that far off of being a potential trade. So you guys let me know in the comments. Would you make this trade? A for accept, D for decline. I would accept it tomorrow. I would accept it yesterday. You let me know down below in the comments. I would definitely do this trade if it came calling for the Boston Red Sox. All right, let's move on to question number 2. Trendy Trends coming in with not really a question, more a comment, but I did think it was a good one, so we're going to talk about it. Red Sox sign Pete Alonso, sign Alex Bregman, and trade for a starting pitcher. So I already did mention the pitchers. We talked about Freddy Peralta in the last question from Isabella. But, if you've watched the videos, this should have been the plan from the start. I made a video of a perfect offseason plan, and it talked about re-signing Bregman, bringing in another bat, trading for a number 2 starting pitcher. Those were all things that I talked about in that video. That should have been the plan from the start. Making a splash, trading for a certified number 2. Freddy Peralta could be that. And then signing not 1, but 2 bats. I've said this in the last few videos. The Red Sox need 2 bats, not just 1. Because not only are you replacing Alex Bregman, which you could do by just re-signing him, but you got to replace him. And you're also still trying to replace Rafael Devers, something that I think a lot of people forgot. Like, your lineup with just 1 bat is not going to be good enough. It's not. You need 2 bats. And the Red Sox can absolutely do that. They've got the money to do that. Now, of the names that were mentioned, which one? Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso. Both, pretty similar numbers. Alonso's got the power advantage, but Bregman didn't play nearly as many games as Alonso played because he was dealing with that injury. So, which one of the 2? Well, my response to that, and this is one of my favorite memes of all time. Is it too much to ask for both? Is it too much to ask for both? I think it's very easy for the Red Sox to re-sign Alex Bregman and bring in Pete Alonso. Like, you're not going after Kyle Tucker, $400+ million contract. These are 2 guys that'll total at the most $350 million. The Red Sox were in on Juan Soto last year for $700 million. You could get 2 of these guys for like $350 million. Why? Why is it just 1? Why does it just have to be 1? Why can't it be 2? Why can't it be both? That's one of my biggest issues with ownership. That's one of the reasons why I've been so pissed as of late. If you want to compete in the East, you need to get vastly better than last year. Because the Yankees, while they haven't made any big splashes yet, we know they're going to. We know they're going to spend money. They always do. They are the Yankees. And the Blue Jays, who are coming off losing in Game 7 of the World Series, have already signed Dylan Cease, making their rotation even better than it already was. And they hosted Kyle Tucker at their spring training facility on Wednesday this past week. Like, we know the Blue Jays are going to spend. We know they're going to get vastly better. And they made the World Series. So are you really going to be the 3rd best team in the AL East again next year? Are you satisfied with that? Because I'm not. If the Red Sox want to compete in the East, if they want to compete to win the division like they say they do, they need to get vastly better because the other teams around them are. So, will that happen? I'm not convinced, but we'll see. Winter meetings are this coming week. Stuff is going to happen. Hopefully the Red Sox are making the right moves to make the team better. Lucent Moon, do you think the Red Sox lean more on the trade market than the free agent market? This is a good question because, like we've already talked about, the Red Sox have an issue with their payroll, apparently. Again, no one's buying into that BS reporting that's coming out. But nonetheless, I do think the Red Sox will prioritize a bat in the free agent market and a pitcher via trade. This is, I think, how it was always going to be. They were going to upgrade the rotation via trade because they have the trade chips to do that. And then they were going to go get one of the big, or hopefully potentially 2 of the big bats in free agency. The reason why I think it's so important that they go after a trade for a pitcher is because the free agent market doesn't move me. Dylan Cease was like my top guy. He's gone. He's on the Blue Jays. You've got Ranger Suarez, Framber Valdez, Michael King, Zach Gallen, and Tatsuya Imani. I butchered that name, I'm sure, so I apologize. I'm just not good with names, so please forgive me. Those are like the top 5. I mean, if I'm just being completely honest, like, I'm not moved. I'm not moved by the pitching market at all, free agent-wise. And I said that going into this offseason. I thought the free agent market as a whole was going to be relatively weak, hitting and pitching. You know, there's not that many incredible hitting prospects either on the free agent market. So, going back to the question, I think that they're going to do a little bit of both. I think they're going to prioritize offense on the free agent market because there's more high upside options there. And I do think that they will upgrade via trade for the pitching, is at least what I think they're going to do. But speaking of free agency, you let me know. Name a player you want the Red Sox to sign. Could be anybody. Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, Framber Valdez, anybody. Could be a pitcher too. Let me know. Let me know down below in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. Name a player you want the Red Sox to go out and sign in the free agent market. 5-star Amari, coming from our Instagram, at the Red Sox Rundown. Go follow us over there. 1 to 10, what are the odds to trade for MacKenzie Gore, Joe Ryan, or Tarik Skubal? Good question. Let's go one by one. Do I think any of these 3 will get traded? Probably not. But let's talk about it, though. MacKenzie Gore, I think, is probably the best odds. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. The reason why is because I do think he will probably get traded this offseason. And the Red Sox have such a good relationship because Paul Taboni just left the Red Sox front office to become, the GM, chief baseball officer, whatever their title is over in Washington. So I think that he, of the 3, probably has the best odds of being traded to the Red Sox. Joe Ryan, I give a 3. And the reason why is because a report just came out a few days ago. I forget who reported it, so please forgive me. But the report is that the Twins are more likely than not to hold on to Joe Ryan, Brian Buxton, all their core guys, than trade them and try to add pieces around them to make them, at least try to contend in the AL Central next year. I believe that. I think if Ryan gets traded, probably at the trade deadline, inevitably when they don't end up not panning out. So I'm going to give it a 3. It could happen, but based on that recent report, I don't think it will. Tarik Skubal, I'm giving a 0. I don't think he's going to get traded. If he does, it'll have to be a huge blockbuster. I don't think that's something the Red Sox want to do, and I certainly would not do it. I have talked on this channel ad nauseum why I would not trade for Tarik Skubal. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to say I am going to give it a 0. Last but not least, we got Alex Willem. Thank you all so much. Really great questions today. Again, make sure you subscribe. In the future, I will be asking for more of your questions. Let's end on a fun one. Who is your favorite baseball player of all time? Mine is Dustin Pedroia. Alex, you have fantastic taste because my favorite player as well is Dustin Pedroia. He's also an Arizona State alum. I also went to Arizona State. I am an Arizona State grad. I covered the baseball team at Arizona State. So that's just another thing. But I loved Dustin Pedroia before I even went to Arizona State, before I even knew that he went to Arizona State. He is a lot like me. He's short. He's scrappy. He's been an underdog his entire life. I'm short. I played baseball very scrappy. I was not big, did not have a lot of muscles. I saw a lot of myself in Dustin Pedroia. He's also a player that everyone could cheer for because he was such an underdog. I was such a fan of his style of play, and the way that his career got derailed after Manny Machado cleated him in the knee. I will never, ever forgive Manny Machado for that because it ruined the career of my favorite player of all time, who will always, there will never be a player that will ever top Dustin Pedroia, in my opinion, in terms of like my favorite player. Now, I love Roman Anthony. I love Garrett Crochet. I'm a big fan of Jarren Duran. But Pedroia was a dog. And his resume is awesome. Again, his career got cut short because of a really unfortunate injury that he couldn't control. But in his time, 2-time World Series champ, Rookie of the Year in 07, MVP in 08, four-time All-Star, four-time Gold Glove. Pedroia was that dude. He played the way that every player should have aspired to play. And in my opinion, he's a freaking Hall of Famer. He's on the ballot. It's his second year on the ballot. I think he's a Hall of Famer. The argument always comes up. Is it longevity or is it peak? Pedroia's peak was a Hall of Famer. If he did not get cleated by Manny Machado, he was on his way to being a Hall of Famer. Longevity, I hate the argument of longevity. Because, if you played a long time, but your last 5 or 6 years you weren't that good because you were old, I don't like that argument. Where Pedroia maximized every single season that he played. And it just so happened that his career got cut short because of reasons that he really could not control. Dustin Pedroia is a Hall of Famer in my opinion. He's a Hall of Famer in my heart. And he is by far my favorite Red Sox player of all time. Rounding out today's show, you let me know. Name your favorite Red Sox player of all time. Like I said, minus Pedroia. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of Pedroias in the comments section. You let me know, though. Name your favorite Red Sox player of all time. That's where we're going to end it, folks. Thank you all so much for taking time to watch this edition of the Red Sox Rundown. Like I said, subscribe. Don't miss out. The winter meetings are starting this week. You're not going to want to miss any of the coverage. Hit that sub button if you've not already. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, go Sox.